Everyone. Well, I guess it's probably morning when you're watching this, but so today is a big day for us as we're starting and completing our last topic this week. So for topic 10, it's on life planning, and this kind of summarizes and takes into account now everything that you've done throughout the semester. So throughout the semester, there's been a lot of self-growth. I've asked you to do a lot of self-reflection, looking within yourself, coming to terms with a lot of your thinking and beliefs and values, and then taking that and figuring out how it impacts your relationships with others, how your relationships with others impact yourself. And so now it's time to decide how all of that comes into play in the hopes and plans that you have for yourself in your future. And that's the purpose for the 5-year plan assignment, as well as it being a wrap up for the semester. Because now's the time when you take all that you've learned and you use it to help guide and direct your plans for the future. And research does show that when you spell out your goals and your plans and you have a detailed plan for yourself, that you're more likely to make decisions along the way that help you be successful in fulfilling those goals and plans than you would be if you didn't have a plan for yourself. So that's the purpose of that assignment, and this topic is going to help guide you in making those choices. So the basic law of life. So Howard Figler is a life planning specialist, and he's also a professor, and he tells his students this advice, and it's something that's really important. I want you to keep in mind when you're doing your 5-year plan. And the quote is, "One half of knowing what you want in life is knowing what you are willing to give up to have what you want." So what this translates into is the basic law of life, or for everything you get in life, you also have to give something up. So we all make choices, and a lot of times we don't even recognize that the choices we're making are a sacrifice of something else. So if you make the decision to be a student and take a full-time course load, then that probably means you're not able to work as much as you would like to, or you're not able to spend as much time with your friends or your family because of the time commitment you have to your academics. So whenever we choose to make something a priority in our life, even sometimes without realizing it, we're also making the choice to sacrifice other areas of our life. So when you're doing your 5-year plan, making sure that you're focusing on the things that you want from life, like put that energy and that focus on the things that you want, and recognizing what it is you're willing to sacrifice in order to achieve that. So what is our life motivation? First and foremost, we're driven by fulfilling our needs. So it's that differentiation between needs and wants, and we have to have our needs fulfilled in order to then move on to the area of wants. So Stephen Covey, if you remember, and I have 4, but it's the 3. So Stephen Covey, we talked about him. He did the video that we watched a couple weeks ago with all the information about personality ethics versus why am I blanking here? Our personality and our ethics, and how there was the whole iceberg analogy and that really great video. Well, he also has broken down in his books and theories that there are classifications of our needs. So first is to live, and this is our physical needs. So if we're not alive, we're not able then to fulfill our wants and desires. So in live, he's got food, shelter, clothing, economic well-being, and I think this is really pertinent because it's something that oftentimes isn't recognized as being a need. But without money, without financial stability, we can't have any of these other things. So you have to have financial well-being. And our health is vital in order to fulfill anything else. Next is the to love, and this is our social needs: people, belonging, feeling like we serve a purpose. And then lastly is our legacy. And this is that idea of on your deathbed, what do you want to be known for? And this is going to differ by person. So some of you may want to make the biggest splash on the world as you possibly can. As many people know your name, as many people are able to say, this person did this, that might be important to you. For others, it may be just having a couple people, your closest family, your closest friends say, yeah, they lived a good life, or they had a purpose in this life. They fulfilled something in me. They were a great friend, whatever that might be. But what is it that you want your life's purpose to be? Then there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I'm going to just briefly go over this because if you've ever taken any sort of psychology class, Maslow's always one that's gone over in depth. But Maslow is the pyramid of needs, so if you remember that visual representation, and at the base of the pyramid, the largest section, the widest, is the physiological needs, and Maslow includes air in this. And I love this because in our country, in our area, we take for granted the fresh, clean air that we have. But in a lot of countries, you can't leave your house and be outside for any length of time due to the poor air quality. So Maslow recognized this and included that in the most basic of needs. So air, fresh, clean water, heat, and homeostasis. Then the next level is safety. So this is where he included things like the shelter, clothing, feeling secure, feeling like you are safe. And that's a huge thing that we take for granted too. If you've ever lived in fear, you know how that fundamentally changes the person and how they think and how they react to their surroundings. The third one is belongingness, and this is our need to be connected to others. So we need to be loved. We need to feel as though we belong to somebody else, something else besides ourselves, and it's that social connection. Step 4 is the esteem needs, and this is feeling as though we have worth and purpose in our life, and there's a reason, and that others respect us for that worth and purpose. And then lastly, the step 5 is self-actualization. And different people view this slightly differently. For some, they feel that it's an ultimate life goal, like you work your whole life so that at the end you can reach this point of self-actualization, which is reaching your ultimate potential, your ultimate fulfillment. And that there will be this overall sense of like peace and harmony within the universe, within yourself, within your life. Others believe this is something that you can reach at different points. So you might reach a point in your life where everything just kind of aligns perfectly, and that you've reached this point of self-actualization. And then, things change. You wake up the next morning and, you set new goals for yourself and you start working to achieve this again. But either way you see it, it's reaching that pinnacle of fulfillment and potential. Okay, none of this stuff will apply to you because this is from when we meet in class. So going to the last section, this is happiness. So we are taught from childhood that part of the American dream is this idea of the pursuit of happiness, that we all have this right to the pursuit of happiness. So what does that mean? Has anybody ever sat you down and explained to you what happiness means? Again, ignore all this part. Well, the thing is that so happiness is an emotion that's considered a subjective well-being. So if you looked in the dictionary, if you looked in Google, you will probably find dozens of different explanations for what happiness is. But because it's a subjective well-being, what it means is that each person's individual definition of happiness is going to be unique to each person. So what I find to be the absolute pinnacle of happiness, what I ultimately look to achieve, may be something completely different from what you see as being the point of happiness. So because of that, it's hard to know what it is you're in pursuit of when you're in that pursuit of happiness, and this can cause some unrest for some people, because it's like, well, how do I even know what I'm working towards if I don't know what that means? And part of it is that hunt for it. What is happiness to me? So happiness is, these are some myths and truths for it. Happiness is something that has been shown that can be accurately measured. So it's not something that's just like this illusional dream that we talk about, but nobody can truly reach it. And this has been shown through research. When we talked about marriage, you remember that I said happiness and marriage do go hand in hand according to the research, but that is when it is a solid, secure, content relationship. If it's a stressful marriage where there's abuse or there's a division of power or something along those lines, then that contradicts the happiness factor. Happiness knows no gender and knows no age. So, if I asked you, what do you think is the happiest age in life? At what point in life do you think people are the happiest? We would all probably have an opinion on that, but the research shows that when it comes to males and females or age differences, that there's, if any difference, it's very minuscule, and you can almost always find contradictory research on why that gender or that age group is not actually. So it really doesn't impact happiness. Now, you've probably heard money can't buy you happiness. And what the research does show on that is that that's kind of a lie. That money is something that directly impacts your happiness to the degree of contentment. So what that means is that money, if you don't have money to live comfortably, where you're not stressed about bills, where you know that there's going to be food on the table, where you know you can have a roof over your head, where you're able to meet your basic needs, plus have a little bit extra for some enjoyment activities, then money directly impacts that happiness. But what the research also shows is that if you have too much money, it can be just as stressful or cause just as much unhappiness as having too little money. So the idea is that having too much can lead you to having stress, anxiety, not trusting your relationships. So money does directly impact happiness to a point in that it's that middle ground, that we need to have enough money to feel secure in order to reach our peak happiness point. So again, none of that applies to you. So if you go to Blackboard under these notes, you'll see that there are 2 videos that I would like you to watch for this. And then this will be our last lecture video for the semester. After this, which I'm going to discuss on our Friday meeting, it's only going to be reading sections and working on that 5-year plan. So please, especially if you did not come to the Zoom meeting last week, please make sure, or actually it would be 2 weeks ago from this Friday because we were off for Thanksgiving week. But if you were not there, please come so that we can discuss, you can get what the plan is for the rest of the semester. Everyone have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on Friday.